Meghan Markle's lifestyle ambitions have just run into one of the most revealing comparisons possible, Martha Stewart. Not because Martha delivered some explosive attack, and not because she launched into a dramatic criticism of Meghan personally, but because her few restrained words cut straight to the central problem with Meghan's post-royal reinvention. When Martha Stewart was asked about Meghan stepping into the homemaking and lifestyle space with her Netflix show and her brand as ever, her response was cautious, almost polite, but unmistakably pointed. She suggested that moving from actress to princess, and then from princess to homemaking television figure, does not naturally follow. That small observation says more than 1,000 loud critiques, because it identifies the gap at the heart of Meghan's current brand. The journey does not feel organic. That is the problem Meghan has been fighting from the beginning. A lifestyle empire is not built only on fame. It is built on...
Meghan Markle and her lifestyle brand, as ever, just got a blistering verdict from home queen Martha Stewart, as she talks about interacting a bit with Meghan Markle at a recent dinner party, and then also what her thoughts are about Meghan's transition from being an actress to a princess, and then basically a bare bones basic influencer, much lower tiered than Martha Stewart.
Authority, rhythm, trust, and a sense that the person selling the lifestyle actually lives inside it. Martha Stewart became Martha Stewart because she built a world over decades. She started in catering, publishing, television, magazines, books, homes, gardens, kitchens, and domestic expertise. She made perfection part of the product. People might admire her, mock her, fear her standards, or roll their eyes at the level of detail, but they understand what Martha Stewart means. She is not simply a celebrity with a kitchen. She is a category. Meghan, by contrast, is still trying to define the category she wants to occupy. She was an actress, then a working royal, then a royal exile, then a documentary subject, then a podcast host, then a children's advocacy voice, then a producer, then a lifestyle host, then a brand founder. Any one of those identities can work if it has depth behind it.
.com/royal. Why, thank you so much, Cowboy Colostrum, for sponsoring today's video. We really, truly do appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get into this lovely topic at hand, because this is really interesting and it shows a lot about Meghan here. And of course, Martha Stewart, like anyone, doesn't want to get involved in the Meghan drama. Nobody does, but they know they drop her name, they will get more eyeballs on whatever project, whatever article they are attempting to promote. And I think that's sort of what Martha Stewart did here, because Martha Stewart is a smart businesswoman. She is not Meghan Markle, who I would argue is a very bad businesswoman.
The trouble is that Meghan often seems to move before the previous identity has fully settled. The result is a public image that can look elegant, expensive, and carefully styled, but not always grounded. Viewers are left asking whether they are watching a real homemaker, a duchess playing at domesticity, a celebrity influencer, or a businesswoman trying to find a profitable shape after leaving the most exclusive platform she ever had. Martha Stewart's comment landed because it came from someone who understands this space better than almost anyone alive. In her People interview, Martha described being at a California dinner where Meghan was also present, saying they exchanged only a few words and that Meghan had recently returned from the palace. That small detail immediately became part of the royal conversation, because anything involving Meghan, King Charles, Queen Camilla, Highgrove, or a recent UK visit now attracts speculation. But the more important part was Martha's professional instinct.
Because I think that it's kind of revealing, but she is asked in this piece, what are you like at a party? And Martha Stewart says, my friends call me LIFO, last in, first out. I don't like cocktail parties terribly much. I don't like standing around. If it's a dinner, I like to get there when people are about to sit down. And then I like to leave shortly after dessert is served. That sounds pretty reasonable to me. I have a good time while I'm there. I had a dinner with Meghan Markle the other night. We were both guests at a dinner party in California, and she had just gone back from the palace.
She was not impressed into silence by the title. She did not treat the move into homemaking as automatically credible She looked at the sequence and essentially said, "It does not quite connect." That is a devastating thing for a lifestyle brand, because connection is everything. The customer has to believe that the product, the host, the kitchen, the table, the flowers, the jars, the recipes, and the images all come from the same inner life. Martha Stewart's brand is built around discipline and expertise. Ina Garten's brand is built around warmth, ease, and a kind of wealthy but charming generosity. Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop is built around luxury, wellness, aspiration, controversy, and an unmistakable point of view. Even when people laugh at Goop, they know what it is. Meghan's, as ever, is still searching for that same clarity. As ever, presents itself as a premium lifestyle brand, offering products designed to elevate everyday moments. Its official materials speak in the language of timeless design.
I didn't talk to her really more than to say a couple of words, but I know she was talking about it. So she was talking about her time at the palace of Meghan Markle. And of course, this is another example of how you can't really trust Meghan to keep confidences, because she has to go about and chat. And yes, Martha Stewart is just vaguely alleging to it, but it is entirely possible that somebody she tells will go to the press and share aspects of maybe their interaction with King Charles.
Curated craft and thoughtful simplicity. That is exactly the kind of language one expects from a modern celebrity lifestyle company. The brand has included preserves, honey, baking mixes, flour sprinkles, candles, rosé, and other items meant to create a soft domestic world. Visually, it is tasteful. The photography is polished, the palette is calm, the whole thing is meant to feel like a California garden party filtered through royal adjacent elegance. But beautiful packaging cannot solve the bigger question: why should this be Meghan's lane? That question is especially sharp because Meghan did not simply build the brand as a private entrepreneur. She built it as the Duchess of Sussex, a woman whose global fame comes from marrying Prince Harry and entering the British royal family. That royal link creates attention, but it also creates an expectation of scale. If someone leaves the monarchy and then sells jam,
and Meghan Markle going around and blabbing is part of the problem of Meghan Markle and Harry in the first place when it comes to the British monarchy and any hopes that the couple have of reintegrating, which is that you can't rely on them to keep their mouths shut. They have made a career off sharing royal family secrets, and they're essentially still doing it. They're still going to parties, they're still going to different things, and they're still blabbing.
People will inevitably compare the two stages. They will ask whether this is reinvention or reduction. They will ask whether the Duchess title adds glamour to the product or makes the product look smaller by comparison. That is why the Martha Stewart comparison is so uncomfortable. Martha climbed upward into lifestyle authority. Meghan appears to critics to have stepped down from an extraordinary royal platform into a crowded influencer marketplace. To be fair, leaving royal life may have been emotionally necessary for Harry and Meghan. They have said many times that the pressure, press hostility, security concerns, and internal family dynamics made their situation intolerable. A person can have a rare public role and still be unhappy inside it. The problem is not that Meghan wanted freedom. The problem is that the replacement life she built has often depended on the very royal status she left behind. She wanted distance from the institution, but not distance from the value the institution gave her.
So here's my perspective of Harry and Meghan's current status in Hollywood, which is that people want to keep them around. I don't think really invest in them, but they want to keep them around on the off chance Harry and Meghan are able to pull a success out of their butts. And so they just kind of like, well, I'll invite them to this party here and there. I mean, they are royals. That's kind of kitschy. Not everybody can say that. But at the same time,
that contradiction sits behind every product drop, every Netflix show, every interview, and every social media post. Martha Stewart's own career makes the contrast even clearer. Her authority came through accumulation. She published, cooked, hosted, designed, built, taught, launched, failed, returned, and kept working. She was not handed domestic authority through a title. She earned it by convincing the public that she knew more than they did about the home and could help them live more beautifully. Meghan is trying to enter that territory with fame first and expertise second. That can work for a short period because curiosity sells, but long-term lifestyle loyalty requires more than curiosity. It requires usefulness. That is where, with Love, Meghan faced its biggest challenge. The Netflix series presented Meghan arranging flowers, cooking, entertaining, gardening, and hosting guests in a luxury lifestyle setting. It had celebrity appearances, elegant visuals, and enough polish to generate conversation.
Nobody is sitting around, I think, thinking, well, if I invite Meghan Markle and Harry to this, I really want them there because they're awesome. I don't think most people are thinking that. People in Hollywood are pretty strategic, and as well, they aren't, let's say, super loyal in particular ways. And so they're just like, yep, Harry and Meghan, they're coming to this dinner. That's awesome. I don't care. I just want to get my name in the paper in one way or another. But the important thing here is because of that environment, Meghan Markle blabbing means that it's more likely that a story about King Charles and their meeting may get out into the public. Now, it could be that she's just talking.
Even received a Daytime Emmy nomination in the Outstanding Lifestyle Program category, which is not insignificant. But the show also faced the question Martha Stewart put so plainly: does this progression make sense? Does the audience believe Meghan has a deep homemaking identity, or does it feel like a curated performance designed to support a brand? The answer depends on the viewer, but the criticism has been persistent. Many people do not reject Meghan because she likes cooking, flowers, or entertaining. They reject the feeling that everything arrives as image first and substance later. A lifestyle host can be aspirational, but she still has to feel usable. Viewers should finish an episode feeling that they learned something, understood the host better, or entered a world that has its own internal logic. If the main takeaway is simply that Meghan wore beautiful clothes in a beautiful space while selling beautiful domestic calm, the project risks feeling hollow. This is why Meghan's 45th birthday content became part of the same conversation. On the 4th of August 2026.
But of course, this is what Meghan has always wanted, guys, is to be invited to these parties because she wasn't before. And here's the thing. Martha Stewart doesn't refer to her as the Duchess. She just calls her Meghan Markle. Because that's who she is to everybody still, Meghan Markle. Because Meghan Markle can't really make the Duchess title fit. Let's be honest. So let's move down to the next little bit. So it says, what do you think about her stepping into your space with her own cooking show? Good question.
She celebrated with social media posts, including black and white images of herself jumping into a pool with balloons and a video of herself dancing in a decorated kitchen, wearing a birthday tiara and a shirt, reading, "It's giving missus," reports noted. That Prince Harry appeared to be filming, or at least was heard off camera, and the couple's dogs also appeared in party hats. To supporters, it was light, playful, and personal. To critics, it felt staged, self-conscious, and strangely disconnected from the lifestyle brand Meghan is trying to sell. The kitchen video is fascinating because, in theory, it should have been the perfect as-ever moment. A birthday table, breakfast food, balloons, a relaxed domestic atmosphere, dogs, a husband filming, a glimpse of Montecito life. That is exactly the world Meghan's brand wants consumers to buy into. Yet critics immediately noticed what the video did not clearly show: a natural, as-ever centerpiece.
And Martha says, if you're an actress, it's hard then to transition to a princess, and then from a princess into a homemaking guru on a television show. It doesn't sort of follow. So go from there. Like, that's such a subtle put down. It's like recollections may vary. It's like so subtly there. And it's like, if you're an actress, it's hard to transition to a princess. But that's actually not true because Grace Kelly did it just fine.
Meghan's spreads, honey, flour, sprinkles, teas, candles, or other products are meant to elevate everyday rituals. Her own birthday morning would be the obvious place to display that idea effortlessly. Instead, the clip generated questions about the setup, the styling, the food, the outfit, and the overall purpose of the post. That may sound overly harsh, but lifestyle branding is unforgiving. Martha Stewart can show a table and people understand the intention. Ina Garten can pour a drink and people feel they know the mood. Gwyneth Paltrow can post a wellness object and people understand the world of goop, whether they like it or not. Meghan still does not have that automatic brand grammar. When she posts a domestic image, the public studies it for meaning instead of simply entering the world. That is a sign that the brand has not yet become second nature. There is also the problem of authenticity. That word is overused, but in lifestyle media, it matters.
And then she was in many ways out of the spotlight, or at least out of the Hollywood bubble for sure. And so Meghan transitioning from actress to princess is actually not that hard if you do it right. But what I think Martha really probably puts a lot of emphasis on, if I can speak for Martha. I apologize, Martha, if I'm not getting you correct here, but it's actually the transition from princess to homemaking guru on a TV show.
A person can be rich, polished, and aspirational while still feeling authentic. Authenticity does not mean messy or ordinary. Martha Stewart is not ordinary. Gwyneth Paltrow is not ordinary. The issue is whether the public believes the person has a real point of view, independent of trend, status, and public reaction. Meghan's critics argue that she borrows too visibly. A bit of Martha, a bit of Gwyneth, a bit of old Hollywood, a bit of California wellness, a bit of royal elegance, a bit of social media homemaker, a bit of Diana-coded nostalgia, a bit of Carolyn Bessette Kennedy minimalism. The pieces may be attractive, but the whole can feel assembled. That is why Martha's line had such force. She did not need to say Meghan was failing. She did not need to insult her. She simply questioned the logic of the transition. Actress to princess to homemaking guru.
That doesn't quite work. And I think Martha is spot on there. When it comes to being a royal, this is a very specific role. Only few people can have it. You're either born into it or you marry into it. There's no really other route anymore in this modern era to become an actual prince or princess. It is a highly, extremely exclusive club. And you have Hollywood, which is, yes, is also an exclusive club. But here's the thing here. Hollywood's had a pretty big blow to its ego because basically influencers, YouTubers, those sorts of people have become huge in the...
Is not impossible, but it requires a bridge. Meghan has not fully built that bridge. If the bridge were service, she would still be associated mainly with royal charity work. If the bridge were acting, she might have returned to scripted television or film and rebuilt credibility inside the industry she came from. If the bridge were production, she might have focused quietly on developing strong projects from behind the scenes. If the bridge were lifestyle, she needed years of consistent, useful, deeply personal work, proving that this was not just a commercial pivot. The obvious historical comparison is Grace Kelly, but that comparison actually highlights Meghan's problem rather than solving it. Grace Kelly moved from Hollywood into royalty and largely accepted that the move required a change of identity. She remained glamorous, influential, and globally admired, but she did not try to keep one foot permanently in old Hollywood while presenting herself as a fully independent content entrepreneur. Her royal life became the frame. Meghan's move was almost the reverse.
And so that exists because of social media. And what Hollywood is having to do right now is compete with the social media influencers. And Hollywood in some ways can't. I mean, you just have to look at this summer. What were some of the two biggest box office successes? YouTubers who transitioned into feature-length films and got them out to the public. I think Obsession, like what's its box office right now? Made $448 million on a $750,000 budget. Guys, that is insane.
She entered royalty, discovered or decided that the frame did not work for her, and then tried to return to celebrity with the title still attached. That is a much harder balancing act, because the audience keeps asking which identity is meant to be dominant. If Meghan had wanted to make the transition more believable, she needed a slower and more disciplined plan. One path would have been a true acting return, not a starring vehicle built around the Duchess, but a serious role in an ensemble project that reminded people she could work inside a production without making everything about her personal story. Another path would have been a production apprenticeship, acquiring strong material, backing talented directors, staying off camera, and letting the work speak before the brand spoke. A third path would have been philanthropic quietness, fewer deals, fewer revelations, fewer public grievances, and a multi-year focus on one or two serious causes. Any of those routes could have built credibility. Instead, the Sussexes often seem to choose maximum visibility first.
I mean, that's real. And that's a YouTuber because the barriers to entry are so different now. And so Meghan left the most exclusive club in the entire freaking world to join basic influencers and other Hollywood types, because the Hollywood barrier to entry is less than it used to be. So when it came to Hollywood, this was back in the 90s, what were the barriers to entry, guys? What did you have to do? You were either a movie star or you were a television star. That was it.
And coherence second. Instead, the public saw a sequence of big deals and big claims. Oprah, Netflix, Spotify, Spare, Archwell projects, lifestyle branding, As Ever, With Love, Meghan, podcast ventures, documentaries, interviews, and carefully managed public appearances. The Sussexes made money and attention, but they also exhausted goodwill. They spent so much of the early post-royal period explaining their pain and criticizing the institution that when Meghan later tried to sell warmth, family, hospitality, and domestic joy, the emotional transition felt abrupt. A person can move from conflict to calm, but the audience has to be taken on the journey. Meghan's brand often asks the audience to forget the conflict and simply accept the calm. That is difficult because homemaking is about relationships as much as objects.
Almost insurmountable. The odds are astronomical that you might enter a royal family. So for Meghan to transition from actress to royalty, basically at that point, she was actually going up a social tier. So she was going to actress, which yes, there is a high barrier to entry. A lot of people struggle to make it in the entertainment industry, and she did at least have one successful show, although she was a minor character. And once Suits ended, Meghan would have probably faded into obscurity, to be quite honest. I don't think she would have gone up much higher. She tried to augment her dismal acting career with a lifestyle blog. So Meghan Markle was here.
It's about creating a sense of welcome, continuity, memory, and generosity. Meghan's public story, however, is filled with ruptured relationships. Her father, her half-siblings, the royal family, former friends, former staff, media partners, and sections of the public. Some of those ruptures may not be her fault. Families are complicated, institutions can be cruel, and tabloids can be destructive. But a lifestyle brand built on togetherness will always struggle if the founder's public life is defined by estrangement. The contradiction is obvious, even when it is unfair. Hollywood also complicates Meghan's position. The source transcript makes a larger point about how celebrity itself has changed. Years ago, Hollywood had stronger gatekeeping. You became famous through film, television, recording, modeling, sport, or the rare machinery of traditional media. Then reality television changed the system. Then social media changed it again.
And then she's like, oh, no, that's not good enough. So I'm going to go back to Hollywood. So instead of though going up the social ladder, she actually plummeted down. She's actually, I think, lower than when she started because she's no longer really even an actress anymore. She's a failed influencer. She's a failed producer. She's not even good anymore. She's looked at as broadly bad. She's bad for production. She doesn't actually help your production. She hinders it. This Girl Scouts movie, which I am strongly thinking of doing a review on.
Today, influencers, YouTubers, podcasters, TikTok personalities, and independent creators can build huge audiences without waiting for studios, networks, or magazines to approve them. That means Meghan left one of the hardest clubs on earth to enter, the royal family, and returned to a celebrity marketplace where the barriers are lower, but the competition is far more chaotic. That shift matters because Meghan's title does not operate in Hollywood the way it operates in royal life. Inside the monarchy, a title is part of a centuries-old symbolic machine. It carries protocol, ceremony, rank, architecture, history, and public expectation. In Hollywood, a title is a hook. It can get a dinner invitation, a magazine headline, a streaming meeting, or a curiosity click. But after the initial fascination, the work still has to perform. If a show does not hold an audience, the title cannot rescue it. If a product does not become part of people's lives, the title cannot make it useful. If a documentary needs the Sussex name to get attention,
I actually should see. Let's double check here. So for Cookie Queens, at least in one of my cinemas, there's only 5-6 seats sold, and it's a very, very small cinema. The next one has 1 ticket sold. The next one has 3 tickets sold. 4. One's the end on the side of the screen. That's kind of weird. So I only say that because I was just curious where it would go. But like, if Meghan's thinking this is going to be her big break,
they may still distract from the documentary itself. That is not necessarily a criticism of influencers. Many are talented, entrepreneurial, disciplined, and deeply connected to their audiences. But the point is that influence is now abundant. Royalty is not. Meghan's royal role gave her a level of access, status, and symbolic power that almost no influencer can touch. She could have used that role, had she remained in it, to meet world leaders, support major causes, speak through royal charities, and operate with institutional weight. Outside the institution, she still has fame, but much of the authority is borrowed memory. The title remains, but the role no longer fully surrounds it. That is why the public is sometimes puzzled by the direction of her career. If she wanted to influence issues such as women's rights, girls' leadership, online safety, mental health, or family welfare, the royal platform would have given her an extraordinary structure. If she wanted to act,
it don't make any sense. And yes, I realize I'm using a little bit of not so great English there, but it doesn't make sense to anybody. It doesn't compute. People look at Harry and Meghan and they stupidly, I think especially Meghan, Harry's just dumb. So Meghan's, let's be honest, here's the brains of the operation of the two of them. She's the one who has the noggin, not Harry.
She could have returned to acting after leaving and tried to prove she still had screen value. If she wanted to produce, she could have spent years building a serious production slate without placing herself at the center of every project. If she wanted to live privately, she and Harry could have chosen a quieter, less expensive, less public life. Instead, they chose high-profile commercial independence that still leans on royal identity. That choice is what keeps inviting criticism. The Cookie Queens documentary illustrates the complexity. The film, directed by Elisa Namias, focuses on Girl Scouts during cookie season and is connected to themes of ambition, leadership, confidence, and entrepreneurship. Meghan and Harry are among the executive producers through Archwell Productions, and the film has a theatrical release in the United States on the 7th of August, 2026. On paper, this is exactly the kind of project Meghan should support. It connects to girlhood, leadership, financial literacy.
I don't know what idiocy compelled her to believe that somehow she would be better off in California being a bare bones basic influencer, actress, producer, compared to actually being part of the British royal family where you can interact with world leaders and they want to interact with you. You could interact with President Trump. You might not like him, but nobody gives a crap, Meghan, because if you are royal, your job is to interact with any world leader. Same with Catherine, same with the Dutch royals who also interacted with Trump. Your personal opinion on the politician doesn't matter, but guess what? You get to talk to them. You may influence something. Hopefully for good, but I think Meghan would have been obscenely crappy at that.
And community. It is not simply a glossy vanity project. Yet even here, the Sussex name can distort the conversation. Instead of the documentary being discussed primarily on its own merits, much of the attention becomes about whether Meghan can move audiences, whether the theatres are full, whether Archwell has momentum, and whether she can convert royal fame into real cultural power. That may be unfair to the film and its young subjects, but it is the reality of attaching a Sussex label to any project. Meghan and Harry bring attention, but attention is not the same as trust or turnout. Their names can get media coverage. Their names can generate curiosity. But if the public has become weary of the Sussex brand, their involvement can also become a distraction. For a producer, the ideal position is to elevate the work. For Meghan, the danger is that she sometimes overshadows the work simply by being attached This is the same issue with As Ever products.
If Meghan had stayed with the royal family, there would have been so many ways that people of great authority would have been interacting with her pretty regularly. She would have had the opportunity to speak into policy. I mean, if she cares about the safety of children online, why aren't you still with the royal family? That would give you the best opportunity in the world to actually make changes. Instead, she's just going and speaking to like 15 people in the middle of Geneva, Switzerland, with all the pomp and ceremony, as if she thinks that a bunch of people really care about her thoughts on the matter, and basically speaking into the void. Because the royal family, whether you like them or not, brings a level of privilege.
A jar of spread, a bottle of rosé, or a candle should be judged by quality, price, packaging, availability, and customer satisfaction. But because Meghan is the founder, each item becomes a referendum on her judgment. If a product sells out, supporters call it proof of success. If shipping is slow, critics call it incompetence. If packaging is pretty, people analyze the symbolism. If Meghan does not use her own products visibly in a birthday video, critics treat that as evidence of inauthenticity. A normal brand can make small mistakes. A Meghan brand turns every small detail into commentary. The Martha Stewart comparison also exposes the difference between being known and being believed. Meghan is known everywhere. That is not the same as being believed as a lifestyle authority. Martha could sell the idea of a perfect tart because people believe she knows how to make one. Ina could recommend a store-bought shortcut because people trust the world she created. Gwyneth could sell a wellness object.
And anybody in the public, like Martha says here, it doesn't sort of follow. So go from there. She's not really specific, but it's like, but it doesn't follow. It doesn't follow. Everybody's like, this doesn't work. You can't just claim to be part of the royal family and then walk away and think people won't notice that that's a little odd, because it is. It is a little odd to walk away from one of the most powerful institutions in the world and think you still have the authority and the influence of that institution once you've left it.
Because Goop's audience accepts that luxury experimentation is part of the brand. Meghan's challenge is that many people do not yet know what she genuinely knows, what she genuinely loves, and what she genuinely does when cameras are not there. This is why the birthday video felt important beyond its silliness. A birthday clip can be harmless and fun. Not everything has to be strategic, but Meghan's public life has become so curated that even fun reads as strategy. The tiara, the balloons, the shirt, the kitchen, the dogs, the off-camera husband, the breakfast spread, and the absence or presence of products all become material for interpretation. That is partly the fault of an obsessive media culture. But Meghan has also fed that culture for years by using visual signals deliberately. Once the audience learns to read every image, it does not stop reading just because the post is meant to look casual. There was also a missed commercial opportunity in the video. If
Meghan Markle was an actress, then go back to being an actress. Don't try to do anything else yet. Just get back into the entertainment industry and get into a good flow. And then spend that time on set. That you didn't, Meghan, when you were on Suits, because we know you didn't. Spend some time to actually learn the backside of production. How to be a producer, how to be a director, how to be a screenwriter. Because you know what people do on long-running TV series? Generally, they get behind the camera in one way or another. Kelsey Grammer directed episodes of Frasier. David Schwimmer, episodes of Friends.
As Ever is meant to represent beautiful, thoughtful, everyday moments. Meghan's own birthday breakfast could have shown that in a natural way. A candle on the counter, a jar of spread on the table, a casual recipe card, a small flower arrangement, or a family ritual tied to one of the products would have made the brand feel lived in. It did not need to be a hard sell. In fact, the softer, the better. But the strongest lifestyle brands blur the line between personal ritual and product use so smoothly that the audience barely notices the selling. Meghan's challenge is that her selling often feels either too obvious or, in moments when it would actually help, oddly absent. There is a deeper sadness in that. A woman should be able to dance in her kitchen on her birthday without it becoming a public trial. But Meghan is not an ordinary woman. posting to a small circle. She is a duchess.
A lot of these people, in one way or another, they start getting behind the camera to learn more about the industry and their craft. Meghan Markle didn't, because I don't think she really cared, but she thought that title magically imbued her with talent, and that somehow having a title would translate into this glorious career because people would be just clamoring to get a princess. But the thing is, once you leave the cocoon of the royal family, the title of, princess or duchess really does start to diminish. Because what makes it special and important is within the walls of Buckingham Palace, not within your gated mansion in Montecito.
Former working royal, Netflix personality, brand founder, producer, and one of the most watched public figures in the world. Her Instagram is not just a personal scrapbook. It is part of a public business and reputation strategy. That means the standards are different. The question then is what Meghan can realistically become. She is unlikely to become Martha Stewart because Martha's authority is too deep, too practical, and too tied to decades of work. She is unlikely to become Gwyneth Paltrow because Goop has a sharper identity and a more established luxury wellness audience. She may not become a major producer unless Archewell builds a consistent slate of projects that succeed beyond curiosity about the Sussexes. She may not become a beloved royal figure again unless she and Harry rebuild trust quietly for years, but she could still build something smaller and more coherent if she accepts the limits of the brand. The smartest version of As Ever would stop trying to suggest a whole empire before the foundation is strong. It would focus on fewer products, more consistency.
Things attached to Harry technically made more, but I would argue that she's mostly driving the bus. She's not fully driving the bus, but she's mostly driving the bus. And so in this particular situation, Meghan was thinking to herself, well, if we trade off your family, Harry will make a lot of money. And they did in the short term. But the transition between princess to homemaker guru doesn't quite work when people don't believe it. And it doesn't work as well when you spent the first couple of years in your post-royal life trashing your husband's family online in multiple ways. Oprah, Netflix, Spotify. When you start
better usefulness and a clearer story. It would show Meghan actually using the products in natural ways, not just presenting them through polished campaigns. It would build trust through reliability rather than scarcity alone. It would stop relying so heavily on royal mystery and soft-focused nostalgia. It would give customers a reason to return beyond the curiosity of buying something from Meghan Markle. The smartest version of Meghan's media career would also require humility. She does not need to present herself as the next great lifestyle authority overnight. She could learn in public, collaborate with people who have deeper expertise, and position herself as a curator rather than a master. That would actually fit her better. A former actress and duchess exploring food, hospitality, travel, design, charity, and family rituals could be interesting if it were honest about being an exploration. The problem is the insistence on presenting the world as already fully formed.
Try and make as much money as possible. And here's the thing. What Martha didn't say there, but we all kind of know is true, is that the homemaking aspect was just a cash grab. The moving from princess to homemaker was just an attempt at a cash grab. And yes, Meghan grabbed bags of cash with Harry, but that number is dwindling.
Audiences can forgive learning. They are less forgiving of performance, pretending to be mastery. The same applies to Harry. His role in Meghan's brand is mostly symbolic, but his public controversies affect everything she does. Legal battles, family rifts, security disputes, and spare all hang over the Sussex image. Meghan can try to create a serene kitchen world, but Harry's ongoing conflicts keep pulling the brand back into Grienvance. The couple's public identities are intertwined. When he is in court or fighting the press, her lifestyle brand feels less peaceful. When she posts domestic bliss, critics remember the family turmoil. The Sussex project has never successfully separated calm from conflict. That may be why Martha Stewart's understated critique landed so perfectly. She did not need to engage in royal drama. She simply looked at the brand transition as a business and identity question. Actress to royal to homemaking host is possible only if the audience sees a believable through line. Meghan's through line remains unclear. Is it service, luxury, motherhood?
and then how they've treated the transition afterwards. If Harry and Meghan had played their cards right, they would have been massively successful. But the transition between princess and homemaker guru doesn't totally work because we all know it's a step down the social ladder. And nothing exemplifies this more, guys, than Meghan Markle's moronic dance around her kitchen for her birthday with a fake happy birthday tiara on, a pile of balloons, only bacon cooking on the stove with a weird display of bagels and smear, but obviously nothing from As Ever. So
California domesticity, female empowerment, royal memory, entrepreneurship, privacy, publicity. The brand tries to hold too many meanings at once. The risk is that Meghan becomes famous for attempting reinventions rather than succeeding at one. The TIG was one version, Royal Life was another, Archwell was another, Spotify was another, Netflix was another, As Ever is another, With Love, Meghan is another, Cookie Queens is another. Each project creates headlines, but the question is whether any of them becomes durable enough to define the next decade. Martha Stewart is not still relevant at 85 because she had one good launch. She is relevant because her world kept compounding. Meghan needs compounding credibility, not just recurring attention. There is still an audience for Meghan if she can stop overreaching. Some people like her style, some admire her story, some want her to win. Some are curious about what a modern duchess in California might make, cook, wear, read, grow, and support.
only bacon cooking on the stove with a weird display of bagels and smear, but obviously nothing from As Ever. So let's take a look at this video real quick. And just to double check, I just got here earlier today. Meghan's little birthday thing didn't move the metric at all on her growth, maybe 10,000. And again, given Meghan Markle's overall footprint, you would think this would be much higher, 10, 15, 20, 30.
That audience needs steadiness. It needs less contradiction. It needs a brand that does not feel as though it is always reacting to criticism or chasing another comparison. It needs Meghan to stop trying to be Martha, Gwyneth, Diana, Caroline, Hollywood producer, royal rebel, and domestic guru all at once. The entertainment industry is not sentimental. It may invite Harry and Meghan to dinners, screenings, and parties because they remain famous and useful, but invitations are not the same as investment. Hollywood will keep people nearby. If there is a chance, they might become valuable again. It will smile, pose, and exchange pleasantries. But serious long-term backing depends on performance. Can Meghan move products? Can she grow audiences? Can she generate shows people actually watch because they like the content, not because they are curious about the Duchess? Can she make films that stand apart from the royal story?
As Meghan Markle looks at her birthday balloon display, doing the electric slide in her, I'm sorry, I have to say this, kind of ugly kitchen. She doesn't have a pretty kitchen. It's not well designed. And what do we have on the grill? Bacon. So this is a weird thing to circle around to, I feel like, on multiple levels. So nobody's there. You're just fixing bacon. You have some bagels and some sort of dip here and tomatoes and some sort of shake. And I'm like,
and As Ever become a brand people buy for itself rather than for the drama around it? Those are the questions Martha Stewart's comment sharpened. It does not sort of follow. That is the issue. Meghan's life has been extraordinary, but extraordinary events do not automatically produce a coherent business. If anything, they can make coherence harder. The royal chapter is so large that everything afterward looks smaller unless handled with great care. A kitchen dance, a jar of spread, a candle drop, a lifestyle series, or a documentary credit all have to compete with the memory of the woman who once stood inside Westminster Abbey as a royal bride. That is a difficult shadow to escape. The irony is that Meghan may have underestimated the value of the very thing she left. Royal status is powerful because it is rare, disciplined, and symbolic. It is not the same as celebrity. Celebrity needs constant output. Royalty often gains power from restraint. Meghan moved from a world where silence could create mystique.
Because number one, where is As Ever? I thought that the best part of As Ever is that you can put it on a croissant, Meghan. Where is your As Ever spread? It should be right there, front and center. Where is it? And where are the kids? It just seems weird that she is, again, well, just by herself getting filmed. Like, this is the stuff people kind of hate about social media people.
Into a world where she has to post, sell, explain, launch, and relaunch. That is a harder world than it looks. It rewards novelty but punishes inconsistency. It gives access but takes away aura. It lets anyone join the race, which means everyone is competing all the time. That is why her current moment feels so exposed. Martha Stewart's restrained comment, the birthday video, the questions around As Ever, the Cookie Queen's release, the Emmy nomination, the Hollywood dinner chatter, and the ongoing royal family tension all point to the same larger story. Meghan is still trying to convert royal fame into independent authority. She has not failed completely because people are still talking, still watching, still clicking, and still debating. But she has not yet succeeded in the deeper sense. She has attention. What she needs is belief. Belief is harder to build than attention. It comes from consistency. It comes from knowing your lane. It comes from delivering quality repeatedly. It comes from saying less and doing more. It comes from letting a project speak for itself. Martha Stewart has belief because people know what she represents. Meghan still has to prove what she represents now that the palace gates are behind her. So the verdict is not that Meghan can never build a lifestyle brand. She can. The verdict is that the current version still feels unresolved. Martha Stewart saw that immediately. Many viewers see it too. The transition from actress to duchess to homemaking personality can work only if Meghan makes the final identity feel earned. Right now, too often, it feels styled rather than earned, announced rather than built, photographed rather than lived. And until that changes, every new post, product, video, and interview will keep returning to the same uncomfortable